Hi everyone, it's Jennifer from Fiberflux. In this video, I will show you how to do an easy turkey applique. This is a fun and fast little project you can use for your Thanksgiving celebrations. You can use it as an applique or as a decorative element around the house during the Thanksgiving holiday. For this project, you'll need a 6mm J crochet hook. You'll need some worsted weight yarn, and this is a great way to use up any of your fall leftovers that you may have. This is some Red Heart Super Saver, and these two are Lion Brand's Vanna's Choice that I had on hand. You'll also need a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle. As an option, you can sew your pieces together when you're finished, or you can glue them. So as an optional supply, you can use your hot glue gun as well. I also will, in this video, will show you how to both sew the pieces on together and how to glue them together. So either way works fine. I wanted to mention that if you are using this on a garment, I would recommend sewing it together if it's going to be going through the washing machine. If it's just going to be a decorative piece, maybe at the holiday place setting or around the house or something like that, and will not be going through the washing machine, feel free to go ahead and glue the turkey together using either the glue gun like I showed you, or you could even use fabric glue, will work just as well. So let's get started. To make the body part of the turkey, we're going to begin by putting a slip knot on our hook. To make a slip knot, wrap the yarn around your fingers, make a loop. Bring the yarn behind your loop, reach in with your crochet hook, bring up the loop. Tighten it onto your hook. Next, we're going to chain 6. To make a chain, wrap yarn around hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. In the chain farthest from the hook, we're going to work a slip stitch. Insert your hook into the chain, bring up a loop, bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. We now have a ring that we're going to work all the stitches into. Next, we're going to work 12 double crochets into the center of the ring. To make a double crochet, wrap yarn around hook, insert the hook into the ring, bring up a loop. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. That's 1, 2, 3, get some more yarn, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Then we're going to join where we began with a slip stitch. Insert the hook, bring up a loop, bring that loop through there. Then we'll take our tail, and I wanted to mention I held the tail along the edge as I worked all the stitches, and that will weave in the tail as you go along. You can just pull that tight to close up the ring. So let's move on to round 2 of the body portion of our turkey. To work round 2, we're going to chain 2 and then work a double crochet into the first stitch of our circle. And then we're going to work 2 double crochets in each stitch for the remainder of the circle. So all the way around, we'll work 2 double crochets into each stitch all the way around. So I went ahead and worked 2 double crochets in each stitch all the way around. Then we're going to join where we began with a slip stitch to finish off the round. So the turkey body is complete. You can go ahead and fasten off. And again, if it loosened up, you can go ahead and pull that center to close the ring and trim that off. Thread your tapestry needle. You'll have one end. You can weave that in with your tapestry needle. Go in one direction, come back in the other direction, and trim the tail. Okay, so the turkey body is complete. So next we're going to move on to the turkey's head. To make the head part of the turkey, we're going to put a slip knot on our hook, make a loop, bring the yarn behind the loop, bring up the loop with your hook, tighten. Then we're going to chain 6 to make a chain, wrap yarn around hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The chain farthest from the hook will work a slip stitch, insert the hook into the chain, bring up a loop, then bring that loop through the loop already on our hook. Next, we're going to work 12 double crochets into the center of the ring. To make the double crochet, wrap yarn around hook, insert it into the center of the ring, bring up a loop, yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. That's 1, 2, and I just wanted to point out this tail here, I'm holding along the edge. That will weave it in as we go along. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, get some more yarn, 10, 11, and 12. Then we're going to join where we began with a slip stitch. There we go, just straighten it out a little there. And then we have our turkey head. Then you can take your scissors, trim the yarn, and fasten off. Then you'll take the tail that we wove in and you'll just pull it nice and tight. Oops, trim that yarn. And then you can take this tail, thread your tapestry needle, flip it over to the back, and weave in the ends. I like to go in one direction, come back in the other direction, and then trim that piece as well. So now we have our head and our body, and we can start to see the turkey is coming together. We're going to move on to the turkey's face. To sew the beak on, we're going to embroider a beak and the wattle. I never knew what that term was called before this project, but that's the red thing that kind of hangs off the turkey's beak. So what I did was grab a piece of orange for the beak and a piece of red for the wattle. Just scrap pieces are fine. And we'll start with the beak. So just thread your tapestry needle. And this is very simple. If you're not into embroidery, that's okay because this part is pretty short. So you're just going to hold the head in front of you with the right side facing out. And then you're going to come in from the back like this. And we're just going to embroider a little tiny triangle. So just come up through the back and back down. And then when you come back up through the back, come across. Might have to try it. There we go. Come up from the back and then come back down and meet the beak. And every time you make something in embroidery, it looks different. So each turkey that you make will have its own unique facial appearance, okay? Depending on how far apart you set the eyes, how you've made the beak, and that makes it unique, okay? So I just made a little tiny triangle for the beak. You can tighten everything up. Then, because we're going to be sewing or gluing, whatever you prefer, we're going to do that step at the end. You don't really have to weave these in nice and pretty. You can leave the tails not woven in. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim those. I'm going to show you how to both sew and glue it, so you can choose whatever you prefer. So we can just save these for something else. Then you're going to thread your tapestry needle with the red yarn. And what I did for the wattle is just did 1, 2 little tiny stitches. So just come in from the back again, right above the beak. I kind of went off to the right side of the beak. And then come back down. Because this is so small and our yarn is kind of squishy, it's kind of an abstract suggestion, if you will. So we're just doing 2 little stitches, and that's gonna just kind of look like that. Now you can go back and do a little more if you choose, but I think that's enough. So you can just go ahead again and tie the yarn to the back, and no need for fancy weaving. All this stuff on the back will be hidden in this project. So go ahead and trim. Now whenever you embroider and you tie the back like this, definitely make sure you're not tying it too tight, because that's going to pull the stitches. And if you tie it very, very tight, it can pull everything all the way through. So you want to be very careful with that. So now our turkey needs some eyes. So we have 2 beads, and you can take a scrap and sew them on, or you can do what I did and use a hot glue gun. So I have my hot glue gun, and you want to lay it on the table and not touch it while you're working on it. So just lay it on the table, and then you can either glue the bead, which just be very careful of your fingers, and then just position the eye where you want it, just like so. And then you can take the other eye and just put a little glue on there. Hot glue can be very, very messy, so just try and be sparing with it. Okay, and then just get the eye right on there. So our little turkey has a face. And again, you can take your tapestry needle. You'll need a smaller one, much smaller than this one, depending on the size of your buttonhole. And you can just thread a scrap piece of yarn and just sew it right onto the turkey's head. And that's how you do the face. So we've finished the turkey's body. We finished the turkey's head. And next we're going to move on to the feathers. I've made 3 here to show you what they look like, but you'll need 4 if you want to make it look like the picture. You could do more or less. You could do even when you put your turkey together. You could even make it spectacular and do lots of feathers, or even kind of stair step them and do layers of feathers. But we're going to keep our turkey pretty simple. And we are going to do 4 feathers. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, and 4 for our turkey. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a slip knot on our hook once again. And then we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Next, we're going to join in the chain farthest from the hook with a slip stitch, and that's going to make a ring. If we go back to our feather, all the stitches will be worked into the center of the ring. So we're going to work 6 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, get some more yarn from our yarn ball. There we go. 4. And like we did before, I'm holding this this tail along the edge, and that will weave that in as we go along. So 5 and 6. Okay, and if you notice, I'm kind of pushing these stitches over a little as I work. Next, we'll work 4 single crochets. To work the single crochet, insert the hook into the ring, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through both loops. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4 for a total of 4 single crochets. Next, we're going to work a treble crochet. That will give us this nice point on top of our leaf. To make the treble crochet, yarn around hook twice, insert the hook into the center, bring up a loop, yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, yarn around hook, bring it through the next 2 loops, yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. Then to finish up our feather, we're going to work 4 more single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? Then we'll join with a slip stitch to finish off your feather. Just fasten it off, and then you'll cut the yarn. I've already cut mine. Then you can take your tapestry needle and weave in the ends. Let's do this one first. This was our tail. So you can go ahead and pull that very, very tightly to close up that hole. Trim. And our feather is complete if you want to sew. You can use this tail to sew it on. If you'll be gluing your feathers on with hot glue or fabric glue, go ahead and weave this end in. I will leave this on here to show you how to sew it though. Okay, so let's put our turkey together. So we've completed the crochet part of our project and we're left with all the parts. We have the turkey's body, we have the turkey's head, and then we have the turkey's feathers. I have some feathers here I've already woven in the ends, and you can just glue those right on if you want to with hot glue or fabric glue. Or if you prefer to sew, just leave those tails on, and what you can do is take your tapestry needle and thread it on just like that using that tail, and then you'll just take the turkey's body and flip it over and then just go through both pieces and just seam it right together just like that all the way across, and you can do that for each piece. It helps to have the matching thread. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to show you how to just glue it right on. So again, you can glue or sew. If you're going to be using this as a garment and putting the turkey, if you, for example, if you're putting it onto a tote bag or a t-shirt for the kids to wear at Thanksgiving, you can, I would recommend sewing it. Glue may break down and lose its integrity in the wash. So if you're going to be wearing this and putting it in the washing machine, I would definitely sew it. But if you're just going to be using it as an applique or a little decoration, go ahead and glue it. It only takes 2 seconds. So let's go ahead and glue it together. I've heated my glue gun, so I'm going to start with the body and just put some glue down. My glue gun is very old. It makes creaking sounds. But it still works, so I hang on to it. Okay? So we're just going to glue the turkey's head right onto his body, just like that. And then, of course, it goes without saying that you want to definitely make sure, pull all these little strings off, you want to definitely make sure that your glue is completely dry before attaching it or using it. So let's glue the feathers on. What you'll want to do next is to kind of figure out how you want your feathers to go. I don't want to put the warm colors next to each other because they kind of just blend together. So I did green, red, brown, orange, just like that. So figure out where you want them to go and then just kind of position them on the turkey, just like that. And then you can flip your turkey over and then just put a little bit of glue right along this top edge here. Again, you can sew these if you prefer. I would recommend that if you're doing this for a garment. This is a really fast and easy way if you want to do these for little favors at your dinner. These are really cute for that. And then we're just gluing these right along the top. And you can get some pretty awful burns with this stuff, so just be very careful. Sometimes I'll take the end of my crochet hook, just kind of tap it into place. Just don't get any glue on your stuff. A chopstick works very, very well for these kinds of things. And then you can flip it back over. And again, if you need to shape up these points, your turkey is complete. So that is how you make a turkey applique just in time for Thanksgiving. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the red subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.